Hi everybody, it's Brad with Big Family Homestead, and in this edition of the Homestead Nation, Carolina Prepper 7 and myself have a little chat, an interview with Permaculture Prepper. And let me tell you what, there is a lot of different topics that are discussed in this video. Everything from permaculture gardening techniques to the Bilderberg group, control, all kinds of craziness that's going on politically. And I think you're really going to enjoy it and don't want to miss out. It is a long one, I'll tell you, so you may have to take it in chunks, but there's a lot of great information in here. Please don't forget to subscribe, like it, pass it around. I'm Brad with Big Family Homestead, and you enjoy this edition of the Homestead Nation. All right, everybody. Hi, Brad with Big Family Homestead, Tommy with Carolina Prepper 7, and we are here with Permaculture Prepper. How you doing, bro?
I'm all right, man, and welcome to the Permaculture Homestead.
All right. You are a really interesting dude. Just so that these viewers can get to know you, what is it that you do, man? I would have a hard time wrapping my head around all the different things you do, but what would you say the single biggest prepping thingy-mabobber is that you do?
The biggest prep that I got is my garden. I'm trying to grow a food supply, whereas most people are trying to store up 6 months of food, a year worth of food, end up having to rotate it out. I want to grow a food supply. I'm trying to grow medicine, trying to make my own medicine. I'm trying to be as self-sufficient as I can while living in the suburbs.
Suburbs?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So do you have much property, an acre less, a lot? What do you got?
I'd say it's probably about half an acre. It's not a whole lot. You know, it's fenced in the backyard. Small front yard that's manicured, so you were to drive by my house, you have no idea what's going on in the back. But I'm doing everything that I can in the suburbs legally to be self-sufficient. Bees, chickens, raising rabbits, the whole deal.
Hey, PP, one of the videos that I saw you put up, probably, I think back in March, it was a message to preppers. And it talked about your 4 Gs, and you know, this was kind of your roadmap as to what you need to do in order to get self-sufficient and become a prepper. You want to talk about the 4 Gs for a minute?
That's a good topic. I'll hit on it real quick, man. God is the first G, or whatever it is you believe spiritually. If you're a Muslim, be a better Muslim. If you're a Jew, be a better Jew. If you worship Satan, be a better Satan worshiper. In the coming crises, your spiritual well-being is going to be key. Number 1, it's going to be the rock that you need. Second G, of course, is going to be garden. Grow a garden. Grow food. And when I say that, I don't just mean grow your own garden. Help your neighbors do the same. When supply lines are shut down and you can't go to the store, you can't get water, how are you going to feed yourself? How are your neighbors going to feed themselves? By helping your neighbors know how to garden, you're going to create less panic around you. You'll have a safer environment to do what you're doing as well. Guns, I say guns. A lot of people, they're scared of guns. They don't like guns. They think that you can't be a Christian and own guns. Guns, man, you're going to want to protect yourself if there's any kind of disruption in society. There'll always be roving gangs. Even peaceful situations can turn into a violent mob very quick. And you're going to want to have a way to protect your livelihood, your home, your family. I mean, I'm the man of the house here, so people come knocking at the door. My wife is coming to me. I mean, I want to be able to protect myself and protect her and protect my family and what I got going on. And when I tell people to get guns, I go crazy. I'm probably a little extreme. I tell get a lot of guns so that you can arm your neighborhood too. The more people around you on your side with guns, the better off you're going to be in any kind of disaster scenario. And I say gold, that's number 4. It's the least important. But, have a little gold or silver or even cash on hand. There's a big war on cash right now. That means we should go get cash. When the mainstream is telling me that cash is bad, that means cash is good and I should go get it. Because that's the kind of world we live in right now where the good is bad and bad is good.
Yep.
So I'm doing the opposite of everything they're telling me to do right now.
Now, a lot of people don't understand the concept of what permaculture is. Can you go ahead and talk a little bit about that? Because I do a lot of similar things, but explain what permaculture is to you and how you go about doing it.
Permaculture is sustainable. It's not monoculture. Many people, when they think gardening, they think of the rows of corn or the rows of vegetables, and that's monocropping. That's the problem, really, with our current agricultural model. Permaculture is growing everything all together as it were, let's say, in a forest or in a jungle. Another way to look at permaculture, you can call it forest gardening or companion planting. So the idea is I have a central fruit tree, and around that fruit tree I'm going to go bushes and shrubs, maybe blueberries or raspberries or blackberries. And then around that next concentric circle I'm going to grow herbs or a ground cover. But it's trying to mimic a forest, A forest feeds itself. Nobody goes out into the forest and fertilizes, yet it still grows. It's the least amount of hands-on possible, creating sustainable solutions to gardening. I don't touch my garden much. I'm trying to get to a point where it's set up, and all I do is water, which I'm getting pretty close.
So how much food would you say that you're producing right now out of your garden? 50%, 80%?
I would not even, I'd say 40%.
Okay.
If I were to sit down at dinner every night, 40% of our meal is coming from our garden.
Okay.
Whether it's vegetables or some herbs for seasoning. We don't have the meat going on quite yet, and my chickens aren't producing eggs quite yet.
Okay.
But we'll get there.
What's the goal? Is the goal getting 100% self-sustaining? Is that the realistic goal? Or?
The goal would be to be able to do that, I guess. And I mean, part of that is going to be hunting. I mean, I'm going to go hunting for the first time in my life this year. I've never been hunting before.
Oh, okay.
So I was sold on hunting by a fellow at my church, and he killed a 900-pound boar.
Oh my gosh.
And it took him a year to finish it off. I mean, he came to me the other week and was like, yeah, we just finished off the bacon from that boar we killed last year.
Wow.
And I mean, if you got a freezer and can make a kill like that, one kill, and provide for yourself for a year, that's a lot better than having to go to the store day in and day out, getting on that treadmill of consumerism,
Yep.
Which is really the enemy.
And the meat's probably better too.
I would agree.
Let me ask about how knowing now you're saying what you're producing in terms of percentage. How big is the garden? I mean, give people an idea of what you can do, because I've seen videos of people saying they make 6,000 pounds of food out of a quarter-acre garden, and I believe you can do it. I've seen it, and if you just get really organized. But how big is your garden so people can kind of get an idea? This is the kind of space that you need.
You don't need a big space at all, to be very honest. You could probably do about what I'm doing in a smaller scale. Let me stop and think for a second here. I mean, we've got like 12 or 13 fruit trees, different trees. We're down to like 40 different berry bushes, raspberry, blackberry, blueberry, and you could probably do it on half the acreage. I mean, like I said, we have probably about a half-acre total yard, so our backyard is not quite even half an acre.
Mm-hmm.
You can do a lot with a little with this permaculture style, with stacking stuff on top of each other, growing plants closer together like they are in nature. They don't mind it. They don't mind it at all. I mean, you can grow green beans right on top of each other, and they'll be just fine and just as productive if you were to space out 2 per square foot.
Gotcha. So what part of the country are you in?
I'm in your neck of the woods, old Carolina prepper. You know.
Okay. All right, so you're down in the Carolinas. The old Gamecocks. Gotcha.
Go Gamecocks, brother. Go Gamecocks.
So do you use a greenhouse at all, or is that not part of the permaculture?
I do. It is. I mean, I do use a greenhouse during the winter. I got a couple garden boxes, 2 foot by 6 foot in the back, and I put a hoop house over them during the winter.
Okay.
It keeps things fairly well.
So are you growing all year long then? Are you getting production all year long?
I do get production all year long. I'll grow kale and collards and broccoli during the winter, mustard greens. And, the Carolinas have a fairly temperate winter, so yeah, I'm growing during the winter, and we get more collards than we could eat. I mean, I was giving collards away last winter.
Okay.
I mean, we weren't getting sick of it. We just had more than we could handle.
Mm-hmm.
So you can grow a lot. And I mean, we're growing big collard bushes, you know, a few inches apart from each other. If y'all go check out some of my fall video clips, you'll see some of that. I mean, it was pretty ridiculous the amount of collards I had. And it didn't take up, it took up less than 5% of my yard to grow all the collards that we needed for the winter.
Wow. Well, now I heard you say that one of the things you like to grow is your medicines, stuff that you can heal your body with. I am super intrigued with anything like that. I've heard of, I guess in your neck of the woods, comfrey grows. So tell me a little bit, explain to me, let's say I don't know anything about this. What do you mean growing your own medicine? What is this? I mean, what are you talking about?
Well, before we had industrial medicine, people used herbs for medicine. And a lot of industrial medicine has stemmed off of that. I want to give an example. Thyme, the herb thyme. You could make a tincture with thyme. You could mix thyme leaves in alcohol like vodka. The vodka will pull out the natural volatile oils in the leaf. You'll strain it out, and you'll have thyme oil, thymol. And that is in a patent cough medicine that they are selling to the public. Right there, you can have a cough medicine. You got a cough? Take a tablespoon of the thyme tincture. Elderberry is one of my favorites. It's an antiviral. You can make an antiviral medicine with the berries. And it's the same thing. It's a tincture. You cook up the berries, you put them in a jar, you fill it up with alcohol, and once again, the alcohol is going to pull out all the essential oils and the natural alkaloids in there, the natural chemicals, the constituents of the medicine. When you strain it out, you're left with the medicine part. And I swear by the elderberry tincture. I got a flu last year, and I was taking a tablespoon every couple hours, and my cold was cut in half. I mean, 3 days, I was healed. The severity of my cold was not as bad as I've had in the past. It's hard to tell if these medicines work because I haven't really been so sick in the past 2 years.
Well, I'm sure the vodka didn't hurt at all.
Oh, probably not.
No.
So one of the things that struck me in that video that you talked about with the 4 Gs was you showed your kind of prepper closet. Now, if you have prepper in your name, we all have this closet, right?
Sure, yeah.
In mine is just stocked full, just crammed in with supplies. And you said yours used to be like that, and then you showed how simple you got. And it's because you decided to switch gears and start being more self-sufficient rather than stockpile supplies, which I'm trying to make that transition, and it's probably going to be a long one. Talk about that, because I thought it was really cool what you did.
It's multifaceted there. And what come to my mind first is the fact that I was supporting the consumerist machine. Mm-hmm. I was buying oats and canned chili and canned beans. All I'm doing is padding the pockets of those multinational corporations that are really attacking me. You see on TV all the prepper shows and all the coupon savers. These shows are out there to push that consumerist mentality onto people. And the consumerism is the enemy. Our lack of self-sustainability is the enemy. And I sat back and I just realized that, I'm supporting the very thing that hates me by buying all this canned chili and having to recycle it every year because it expires. It became too overwhelming, too unwieldy. To try to save enough food for a year, for 2 years, for even 6 months. And I realized that Mother Nature provides in her time and season. She's not going to dump everything on me at once. I'm going to have a continual harvest all year. I'll have blackberries for a portion of the year, and then maybe they'll die back, but then I'll get collards for a portion of the year. During the summer is the biggest growing time. I can store up a lot of squash, spaghetti squash especially. I mean, I could store up a lot of spaghetti squash in a cold refrigerator and be fed all of the winter. But what Mother Nature's not going to do is just dump a whole bunch of food on me and say, good luck, figure it out. I'm able to eat a little bit out of my garden every day, and berries ripen throughout a year. As for the preps, I realized that I wasn't bugging out anywhere. I own this home now. I own a piece of the American dream. I have some property, and I'm not just going to run away from it and leave it. This is my home, and I'm going to bug in. I'm going to stay here regardless. If they want to come and knock our doors down, I'll let them in. But I'm not just going to run away from my home and leave it. I'm going to stand my ground, and I'm going to hold my piece of the American dream that many people died to provide for me. I'm a minimalist. I like the least amount possible, and the most sustainable possible is really what I was going for when it came to the preps. And I just realized that I had too much junk. I just had too much junk. I don't need 7 tents. I'm not running away. I don't need 3 or 4 sleeping bags. I'm going to be here in the house. Mm-hmm. I just need to, provide for my castle and protect my castle.
Gotcha.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, because and this is probably selfishly me trying to guide you back to the medicine side of things. For the beginner, what would you say are the top few best plants to start with that have like the most power-packed punch and are easy to grow, yada yada?
Okay, good. Very good question, though. Herbs, first off. Rosemary, lemon balm, thyme. I said thyme. Thyme is a good one. Echinacea is a good one. It's a wild flower. It's real hardy. You can make strong antivirals and antibacterials with echinacea root. Elderberry has got to be on everybody's growing list. The berries and the flower heads are antiviral. If you can't get medicine, you're in trouble. And there's no sense in storing a whole bunch of medicine that'll expire anyway. Mm-hmm. Every year I make a new batch of elderberry tincture, and I'm good up until they start to flower again. And then there's just wild edibles that people don't think about. Dandelion. It's great for liver problems. The root. You can make medicine with the root. Plantain. That's a good one. It's a wild weed. And people would be surprised how much food is actually around them, and they don't even know it. I think in the middle of a disaster, people would be living in a forest and would totally panic because they couldn't be able to identify the food around them. Herbs, a lot of herbs. Herbs are real strong medicines, and even learn your wild edibles. And get a book on herbology. There's a lot of good resources out there on how to process your herbs. Tinctures are the big one, the alcohol infusion. Oils are good. They're harder to make, but the oils are good.
Let me ask you this real quick about the vodka, not to bring back the vodka, but what is the reason that does it have to be vodka, or could you say make your own alcohol? Because I happen to know how to make ethanol. Is it the same thing?
That works, and for people who don't drink, you can use glycerin, I believe. I believe you can use glycerin. Don't quote me on that, go double check, but there's non-alcoholic based fluids that will draw out the volatile oils as well. So if you don't drink alcohol, there's other things. And yes, you could make your own alcohol. You could definitely make your own alcohol. I could see how that works as well.
Okay.
So it sounds like what you're saying that most of us are paying some landscaping company a bunch of money every month to come out and kill all the fruit out in our yards.
Yeah, basically, man. Basically.
So the next time my HOA sends me a letter complaining about my weeds, I'll say it's my garden.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
Okay, good deal. I'm going to show them this video.
The thing is, if everything collapsed, you could just let it grow wild and your food will be out there. You won't have to do much anyway.
Right
on. That is too funny.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, now, so I can make these tinctures on my own. That is really, really exciting for me personally. Now, but the other question I had was, do you make this once a year? Like you'll make your elderberry tincture and then it's just good for a year? Because the question I'm getting at is, because the herbs are only going to grow part of the year. Now, if I, pick them and dry them, they're probably not going to be as potent, ?
Yes, that's right. Fresher is better. Always when you're making these tinctures. So yeah, I'll make a thyme tincture when it's in its peak, right before it flowers. With the elderberry, for me personally, it's everywhere. It grows wild in South Carolina. I can drive down the side of the road and see it, and what I'll do is just make a map in my head about where they all are. And when they start to fruit, I go out on a nature hunt and just pick all the wild berries. A lot of people used to do that. I don't know why, we got away from our wild berry picking. But fresher is better. The thing about the alcohol is it stores for a long time. It'll probably store longer than what you'll probably use it up before it goes and expires, is what I'm saying here.
And you've got all these how-to videos, I'm assuming, yes?
I'm starting to do the how-tos on that. I will be, yeah.
Hallelujah.
And you know what, Brad, you're a beekeeper.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things dealing with bees that you can do. You can make propolis tinctures.
Yep.
Those are medicine as well. There's a lot of medicine in a beehive that
the royal
it's not just honey.
Yeah,
it's not royal jelly. Exactly.
Yep.
So.
Well, I love the things that you're talking about, but it's making me feel bad because I don't know. I don't know what I need to know, and it's becoming pretty apparent. But the good news is now I know you, and you're going to put this stuff up on YouTube, and I'm going to learn from you. So thanks for that. But I wanted to find out a little bit about what got you to this point. I mean, did you come out of the womb wanting to start a permaculture garden and wild berry hunt, or did you come out of a corporate environment and say, I'm done with this and flush it, and I'm going to try something different?
Kind of, a little bit of all that. I'm in school right now doing physical therapy.
Okay.
So I'm in the health profession.
Okay.
I started out as a ballet dancer. Okay, that's going to be weird to some people, but I
must be very bendy.
Yeah, I was a professional ballet dancer for 13 years, and I stumbled into that by accident. I began prepping probably around the time of the housing collapse.
Okay.
And it was really because I saw what it did to people financially, especially people that didn't do anything wrong. I want to take my parents for an example. They have a house. They paid for it. They amassed all this equity in this home, and then a bubble popped, and they lost all this equity. It became harder for them to be able to sell their home and retire. So now they're kind of stuck with this home that's not worth as much as it was, and it's harder for them to stop working, to retire. And they didn't do anything wrong. They were doing the right thing, and they got punished because of this housing bubble collapse. And that was all, of course, because of all the subprime loans that they were doing with people. I mean, that killed the market right there. Mm-hmm. And it was around that time that I realized we could all be in trouble even though we're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
We may all be doing the right thing, but eventually it could come and bite us in the ass. And I realized that's really what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I guess you want to hit on the Bilderberg thing, huh?
Yeah, we'd love to hear about that. Hot topic.
All right, here we go. So I do have ties to some of the conglomerate, the nationals, the globalists. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to ostracize my family directly, so I'm just going to give you some clues here, and you can figure it out. My uncle, my mother's brother, was a famous general. He became a CIA director. Then he got into some trouble, but he got out of that trouble because of his globalist ties. He is currently spending his time at the Bilderberg meetings this year for a second year in a row. So don't call it out if you know. There's what it is. That's all public record. You can figure that out, but I'm not going to give you the answer directly.
Okay.
Who he is doesn't matter, but what he's tied to is the problem. And it's the big problem with not just America, but the world in general right now. And that's globalists and globalism. That's the real enemy of America right now. And talking about this Bilderberg meeting, just so we can get it out of the way, how it works is it's a big forum for the heads of corporations, the heads of banks, the heads of the United Nations. We got Henry Kissinger there this year, Robert Rubin from the Council of Foreign Relations. You got the heads of J.P. Morgan, HSBC, the Danish intelligence service is there. So it's the heads, it's the people at the top of the pyramid that are going to these meetings. Notice how our president isn't on the list, because he's not the head of anything. He's a puppet. He's doing what he's told to by people above him. Our Federal Reserve chairman, she's not there because she's not in charge of the banking. JP Morgan is. So this Bilderberg meeting is a way for rich elites to get together and, one, share information, and two, set policy, because that is what they're doing. They are setting policy that you and I are going to have to face in the coming year. It usually works out that there's a big meeting where everybody gets together and general information is shared. Then, throughout the week, it breaks off into smaller meetings. And it's at these smaller meetings where the real heads get together, where Kissinger and Robert Rubin are going to get together and say, okay, we got the information from the underlings. What are we going to do with that information? How are we going to implement policy? What are we going to do in this upcoming year? And this is just one of the meetings. I mean, I'm sure if you know about the Bohemian Grove, that's another meeting where American elites get together, share information, and set policy. That's the enemy right now, and that's what we're up against, is globalism. It's this global elite that really want to put the world under its subjugation. They want to control everything. They want to chip everybody. Aaron Russo, he said it best, and he was killed for saying it. He blew the lid off and said, these elites want to chip everybody, they want to go digital cash, and if you don't comply, they're going to shut off your chip and just turn you into a non-person. That's really what they want. They want control. You can kind of already see it with this whole war on cash going on right now. I mean, you can go to Zero Hedge and Drudge, and every day there's an article about the war on cash. Cash is what makes us free. Our guns, the right to bear arms, our freedom of religion, our right to free speech, the fact that we have this open forum right now and we can talk about how crappy our government is something they can't do in China.
Yeah.
And you know, America's pushing this big, the mainstream is pushing this big war between America and China, but the reality is they're owned by the same banksters. America wants to be like China. They want to be able to suppress religious freedom. They want to be able to take away your guns, and they want to be able to control every aspect of your life. That is the goal. That is the plan. And they're chipping away at our freedoms and liberties every day to get there.
So let me ask you this. You stated all the problems, and by the way, I agree with all your problems, or all the things that you stated. I agree 100%. Other than what you're doing, the self-sufficiency, any additional solutions you can see with taking yourself out of the system, or anything else you can share there?
Honestly, I'm going to be as honest as I can, and I've sat and thought about this a long time. I've talked with some of these rich elites. There's no way out. America has to collapse, and it will collapse. It's their goal to collapse it. My uncle's at this Bilderberg meeting because he has a lot of information on counterinsurgency. He basically wrote the manual on counterinsurgency. So these globalists want to know what a counterinsurgent America would look like and how to basically regain control if they lost it. There's no way out. Move to Costa Rica. I got a lot of buddies in Costa Rica. You might have to give up a couple freedoms, but there's little government control, not even a big police presence. The fact of the matter is, America is the last stand on earth for freedom. We are really the last place on earth where you can have a freedom of religion, where you can own guns, where you can speak out against your government. This is it. This is the last stand on earth. If we lose it here, there's no hope for the planet. And I honestly think that we need to have an aware and actuated public that can band together when it happens. People need to organize. People need, like I said earlier, teach your neighbors how to garden. Because when the panic comes, the less panicked people around you, the better off you'll be. There's no hope on Earth. This is it, guys. I personally believe this is it. I mean, if we lose freedom here, that's it. There's no other free country. You can't move to Israel. Israel's not a free country. It's a religious, it's just as religiously crazy as the Saudis. I mean, for there it's Islam. For Israel it's Judaism. If you're not a Jew, well, we hate you and you're a non-citizen. If you're not a Muslim in Saudi Arabia, well, then we hate you. In America, we're free. And it really is the last stand on earth. And I'm afraid that we're going to lose it. But it all depends on our reaction. The Hegelian dialect, guys. Problem, reaction, solution. They've created a problem. America's going to react, and they're going to magically have the solution. We need to change our reaction when the problem arises. When the banking system goes down, we need to change our reaction. We can't go crazy. We need to band together and demand peace. I don't know. It sounds corny. It sounds idealistic, but we can't go crazy in the streets.
Well, I've got a question for you, because a lot of the people on my channel, they might be hearing this concept at all for the very first time. And this might be making some heads explode. Explain to me, okay, what is the end game? Can you imagine somebody who's hearing this for the first time going, why would anybody want to destroy this country? How are they going to benefit from that? What is the end game?
The end game is complete control, global control, control of your finances. They don't want you to have cash. They want to put a chip in everybody. They want a digital net over the whole world. And I mean, we're basically there.
Yeah.
We're almost there. I mean, we're not so far away from that it's hard to imagine. Everybody's plugged into their phone all the time. It's just one step to say, hey guys, we want to put the technology inside of you.
Yeah.
Well, then why would they need a collapse then if we're so close to that? Why don't they just make out the new iPhone blah, 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 and you just strap it to your head and everybody's wired in? Why do we have to have a collapse at all?
Well, once again, our money is what makes us free right now. The American dollar is the king right now, and the paper money makes us free. It's tied to everything. I know you know, Tommy. Why? It's a good question. What do people in power want? They just want more power. They want more power. They want more control. We're kind of under a soft tyranny right now anyway in America. It wouldn't take much to bust out the police state. Why? What's the end game? Control. Just complete control. To wipe out a lot of the population. There's too many people. If you read any globalist book, go read the Grand Chessboard by Zbigniew Brzezinski. Go read.
Fast.
He sets the policy for Obama. If you read that book, you will see our policy with Russia, because he's the guy that set the policy. Obama's just enacting it. That's all. These globalists want more power, and they want fewer people. They feel like there's too many people on the planet, and they need to cull off about 80% of the population.
I find that when people ultimately ask the question Brad just posed to you, like, why would anybody want to do this? That's a tough question to answer, other than saying, well, they want more power. But I think the normal person in the sheeple community doesn't quite understand that, and I think they have to wrap their heads around the fact that the globalists look at us, the people, much like a kid with a magnifying glass might look at a bunch of ants on the ground. They just don't care. We're just cannon fodder for them. We're just a means to an end.
Matrix style kind of thing. We're like batteries.
That's it. And as soon as we start becoming more trouble than we're worth, then they got to cull the herd. And I think once you start thinking in that mindset, it might become more apparent to the person that just doesn't think along the lines that maybe we do.
Don't forget now, Brad, Our original nature is sin nature. We're not naturally good people. We're naturally bad people. And these people at the top, they're bad. They're bad people. They are egotistical. They are maniacal. They are crazy. And they're the ones in charge. Because that's what it takes to become somebody in charge. Good people aren't in charge. You got to be a backstabber. You got to be a criminal to get up in the system. And these are the type of people that are in charge. And I see something like Nazi Germany happening in the world one more time. I see it happening, whether it's planned or not. I don't think we should go along with it, obviously, but we can't. The only way to stop it is to cut off the top of the pyramid. Chop the top of the pyramid off. Some people will say, oh, you cut off one head, 5 more will come. I got you, but it'll be a good start.
Yeah.
It'll be a good start.
Well, Iceland did that, and their economy is rebounded, and they're growing again. I think they're the 15th best economy for business now in the whole world, and I think they were at 40-something before that. So Iceland's made a good start there. Do you see that problem, that police state? Because I'll tell you what, I used to be waving the flag. I was, USA, USA. And then I started waking up to, Cop Block website, and you start seeing the videos that are posted. And I start thinking, wow, I had no idea this police state, not only is it coming, but it's here for all intents and purposes.
It is.
But these are the same people that are protecting the people at the top of that pyramid.
To some degree, yeah, you're right. But, if a collapse happens, they're not out there to arrest you or me or Brad. I'll tell you who they're going to be ready to arrest. All the people, our government has an army, a secret army. It's everybody on welfare. It's everybody collecting Social Security. Anybody giving a government check. When you turn that spigot off, they're the ones that are going to go crazy. When you shut down the markets, turn off their money supply, they're the ones that are going to be in the street rioting, and they're going to be the ones that the police are going to be scooping up. I'm not going to be out on the streets. I know I'm not going to get arrested, And what better way to cull off part of the population than to just collapse the money supply, collapse the spigot, turn the spigot off, gather up all those idiots, and throw them in some FEMA camp somewhere in Tennessee where they can slowly rot and die.
FEMA camp? I've never heard of that.
Oh gosh. You could do some later investigation on that one.
Nice.
What else you got, Brad?
Was that?
Yeah.
What else you got, Brad?
Well, I'm riveted. I mean, I know for a fact a lot of people on my channel are going, this guy is far out. And so what I would like to do, if you don't mind, is I heard you mentioning some website names. Where would somebody go to research this more? Because I personally am a big fan of, don't believe it just because he said it. Do not believe me just because I said it, or Tommy because he said it. You do your own research and you find out for yourself and you get the facts. I could be lying to you, or I might even just be misled. So if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and rattle off some of those websites where people can find out more about this stuff, because I want people to be informed. Don't just think that we're weirdos or whatever. This guy's a loon. Look it up. So the floor is yours.
Okay. In any global governance, the United Nations, they're going to be the ones that end up taking over everything. I think that's what ultimately is the idea. So go read all the founding paperwork of the United Nations. Just go search on the United Nations. Go learn what their goal for the world is. Read books by Henry Kissinger. Read books by Zbigniew Brzezinski. Robert Rubin.
Can you spell that, please?
Yeah, no way, buddy.
I was actually being serious, but no.
Google search Z-Big. Z-B-I-G. Just Google search Z-Big.
Okay.
And just learn who that person is. Learn who the elites are. It is their goal not just to do this, but they're getting it out in the open. I think they take a sick pleasure from releasing the facts of what they're going to do. Agenda 21. Go do a search on Agenda 21. It's from the United Nations. It's part of the Global Population Control Plan. This is live paperwork online on United Nations web pages. You can find this. They are not hiding the fact that there are too many people and we need to kill a couple.
And that's 25 years old already, right? I mean, didn't that come out 89 or 90?
Yeah, man, but the United Nations, think about how old that is.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been planning this for a long time.
Yeah.
They've just been waiting for the technology to be able to implement it.
I think you're spot on. I think you're spot on. The technology is now available where they're able, because it seems like things are ramping up. And sometimes I confuse myself. I said, I talked to my wife about this, and I say, are things happening faster, or is it just because I'm more aware that I'm seeing them happen?
It's both.
Okay.
It's both. It's definitely both. Learn about who Robert Rubin is. Go learn about the Council on Foreign Relations. Here again, all these people, they've got manuscripts online, and they're not scared about hiding what it is they want to do. The Georgia Guidestones.
Bill Gates.
Guidestones. Have you heard about the Georgia Guidestones?
Sure.
Okay. Go do it.
Give a quick 30-second on it.
Georgia Guidestones, it's the goal of some of these Freemason globalists. They want to basically cull the population and, control what's left, basically. They want to save breeding for themselves. It's sick. I mean, it's nothing less than science fiction. But even science fiction became true with enough time. And like Tommy said, time is speeding up, and all those science fiction strange theories are starting to come true more and more. AI is almost here. Georgia Guidestone, just do a search on it. I mean, it's far too much for me to get into here.
Okay.
But the records are all public. I didn't say anything to you guys today that you can't go online and learn. From them, from the globalists. The United Nations is the head. Council on Foreign Relations is a big one. People like Henry Kissinger, Zbigniew Brzezinski, Robert Rubin. Go learn who these people are, because they are the ones setting policy. They are the ones that run America.
Okay, well now, just to play devil's advocate.
Sure, go ahead.
If this information is all out there in the public eye, and I have no reason to doubt you, but once again, verify. Always verify. But the thing is this. If this is public information, where's the media? Do they want this to come about? Why wouldn't somebody be blowing a whistle?
Well, let me ask you, Brad, who owns the media? Rupert Murdoch? I mean, figure out who Rupert Murdoch is, and you'll see. 30, 40 years ago, there was probably 20 or 30 corporate media outlets across the nation. Now, in 2015, there's 5. Just 5. And we're talking CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, CNBC. It's just these 5 news conglomerates that are all working together for the people up top. I mean, come on, man. If you look at the news, what are they telling us? They're telling us about Bruce Jenner? Come on. That's not real news.
Edit. Are we on delay?
I put the black bars over his eyes and bleep it. Yeah.
So
I mean, it's the goal of the mainstream media to push us off track. They don't want us to know what's going on because they think that they're going to benefit in the end, too.
Well, they were set up to be the watchdog, and they became the government's lapdog.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah. You're right. You're absolutely right, man.
So I kind of feel like Neo going, do I really want to take the blue pill or the red pill? What do I want to do here with this nonsense? How far does this rabbit hole go?
Yes.
Deep. It goes deep. And you know what? We haven't even gotten into just how deep it could go. I mean, we are just scratching the surface. And I just want to say to anybody watching this, if you think I'm crazy, that's fine by me. I'm nuts. Brad said it best. Go do some research. Learn who is in control, really, because it's not the president. The day that we got electronic voting machines was the day that you lost your freedom to vote. Before I became a therapist, I did printing. I worked at a print company. I did a lot of printing. And I did printing for the people that make voting machines in the Southeast. And one of the guys told me flat out, he said, you know what? These things are so easy to rig. We can rig them remotely. We can rig them beforehand so that when the vote is over, 51% is flipped one way and 48% is flipped the other way. I mean, we've lost our freedom, guys. And people are still living in this illusory state that we're free, which we are to some degree, but we could lose it all real quick if we react the wrong way to these next steps that these globalists are going to make.
So you're saying I should go scratch the Walter Mondale bumper sticker off my car? It just doesn't.
I did see in the news just the other day that Hillary's pushing to have the voting laws changed so that convicted felons can vote and all kinds of stuff.
Why not?
Remotely from jail, of course. I mean, there's nothing bad could happen with that.
Here's the thing I'm crazy about these days is that, I used to be the conservative guy, and what I started to realize is that there's no difference between the two. There's no difference. And it was a huge leap for me to say, you know what, I just don't think I want to vote anymore because it used to be such a big part of my USA, we have the freedom, people died for that right. I've just come full circle where I go, nobody died for that right. I mean, maybe the idea that they died for the right way back when, maybe that was true, but we're not fighting for our right to vote now. It's all backwards.
And you know what? We live in such a manipulated time right now, guys. Tommy, you're in finance. You know about the QE that's been going on. Mm-hmm. We've had QE 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm sure 5 is coming. We're at extremely low interest rates right now. People can't save money. There's a war on cash going on. The markets are artificially inflated. Valuations for stocks are just so overblown. Yep. I can pull up charts on a whole bunch of different stocks, and they're in bubble territory. But people just keep chugging along like everything's okay. They're still buying. They're still buying.
These people are going to be surprised again, right? They'll be surprised. Like, I thought everything was fine. What happened? When if you're just paying attention, you see all the warning signs. They're all there.
Well, they really are. And there are going to be people left with their pants down.
Yep.
And those are the people I'm scared of. Those are going to be the ones that are going to free. I'm not afraid of Brad. I'm not afraid of you guys. Mm-hmm. I know you guys are ready. And I know that there's a lot of people out there ready. And all those people, all of them, we need to get together. We need to organize better. Mm-hmm. We need to network better. Mm-hmm. That's what needs to happen. And when the time comes to go crazy, we are the people that are going to have to bring peace and calm to all the masses.
All right. Honestly, let me ask you this then, because that is one of the themes that Tommy and I are trying to communicate to people is we want to build community. That's one of the reasons why we're doing this. Do you have any suggestions on how people can come together? Because let's face it, the self-reliant prepping community has its share of, how do I say it delicately, nut bars. And you don't want to just put yourself out there, but you still need to build that community. What suggestion would you give to somebody so that they could find other people who are like-minded and at a similar level of sameness?
I really just think you got to start small, first off. I have a small garden box out front that I grow vegetables in. And when I see my neighbors, I'll pick some vegetables off and hand it over to them, and we'll talk gardening. You got to start small. You can't just come out and oh, hey, by the way, you're living in a conspiratorial world, and they want to kill you.
Want to buy an AK-47?
You got to start small, and get people to grow food. Explain to them that, hey, man, you can grow your own medicine. Did you know that? It can be a very empowering thing to not have to go to the store to get vegetables.
So 3 days ago, my neighbor's walking out to their mailbox. I run out and tackle them and start screaming Bilderberg in their face. You're saying that's probably not the way to go? Okay.
But if you were to hand them a zucchini from your garden and say, hey, look, you can do this too.
Okay.
You win more flies with honey.
Gotcha.
Of course, in the right neighborhood, that could be viewed a whole different way.
Now, I'm talking about people outside the prepper movement.
Right.
As for inside the movement, we need to de-radicalize those nuts that you're talking about, Brad. We need to bring them a little bit more into the center, because you're right. There are some crazy nuts out there in the prepper movement. And those are the kind of people that the mainstream news is going to make look like crazies.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They're not going to talk about you or I because we're just normal everyday guys. We're doing a job. We're doing the normal life thing.
And there's a lot more. There's a lot more of us out there than I think anybody realizes, just because that's all you see is the nut bars on TV and portrayed in the movies. There's a ton of us out there. So that's why we're doing this, right? I mean, we're trying to bring people together. I never would have met you otherwise. I never would have met Brad otherwise. And I'm meeting all kinds of great people doing this. This is fun. And what I think we should eventually, hopefully do is try to have a face-to-face get-together at some point. You know, like Prepper Stock, man. Let's do something cool.
And you know what? There's a lot of that going on, guys. There really is. The Rick Austin, Rick-Austin. Go search. Figure out who Rick Austin is. He wrote a great book. It's a gardening book. It's The Survivalist Gardener. He goes all over the country telling people how to grow permaculture gardens. He's up in North Carolina, and he's a highly underrated individual, in my opinion. You go to his YouTube page, he's got like 10 subscribers, and, you know, I think more buzz needs to be made about people like that. The normal guys. Here again, we need to pull back some of the extremists. You know, we gotta help pull them back, because they're the ones that are going to give the real homesteaders or self-sufficiency guys a bad name. I mean, we got to pull them back.
Maybe there's all with a new term. I mean, I'm just kind of musing, but maybe in a semi-other way. I mean, prepper already has got a stain on it. Mm-hmm. And whether it's good or bad, Tommy's coming from a perspective of, why wouldn't I be a prepper? But then you've got other people, they come with a preconceived notion. So maybe we need to, I've been more and more just trying to tell people I'm as self-reliant as I can be. And then they go, oh, what's that? Instead of, I'm a prepper. They go, oh, what's that?
You know, here again, that's a great way to appeal to people outside the movement, you know. And it's a small step. You know, when people realize that, hey, I don't have to go to the store to buy eggs. Really? Oh. I mean, it's like a light bulb goes off in some people's head. Right. Here again, guys, you got to think that probably about 80% of the population is still watching TV all day. You know, they're watching American Idol. They're trying to figure out what the Kardashians are doing. They have no idea what self-sufficiency means. They have no clue. You know, during the Great Depression, people survived because they were self-sufficient. You know, there wasn't a big crazy panic. You know, people just shrugged it off. Oh, well, it's going to be a little harder now.
Yeah. No, this time is going to be a little different.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a lot different.
Well, it's going to be a lot of city centers too, all crammed in, and they don't know how to grow. They don't know how to do any of that stuff. I can definitely agree with you 100% there, guys. I'll tell you what. You want to take us out, bro? I think we're.
Yeah, I was just going to say, man. I hope you'll come back and do this because again, we're literally just touching on some things here. So come back with us another time.
I just want to say once again, I know that I probably said a lot of stuff. People are going to think I'm crazy. Okay, but I don't take my word for it. Go learn about the United Nations, who they really are.
Yeah.
Learn about the Council on Foreign Relations. The United Nations is really going to be the arm of global governance in the future. And, you know, China and Russia play a part in that, but that's a whole nother topic, man. We'll get to that sometime.
Just get informed out there, people. And also check out Permaculture Prepper's channel. He's got a bunch of great videos, and I'm looking forward to the how-to videos.
Me too. More how-tos, please.
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, you got it, man. You got it.
So you got Brad over there from Big Family Homestead, and you got Carolina Prepper over here. We're going to catch you next time, and look forward to seeing you again next time, Permaculture Prepper. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me, guys. Let's try to spread a good thing. God bless.